Hello friends, thanks for joining me again. A bit of a quicker video today. In front of you is the daily chart of the S&P ASX 200 index, the parent index of the Australian Stock Exchange, often also known under its ticker code of XJO. And I'm going to be talking about this little zone here in particular today, as I've been following it for a while, for almost 2 weeks, and it's becoming more and more interesting, at least to me, all the time. I often speak about these little junctures where price accelerates lower. This is effectively a breakdown bar at the time. Here were the previous lows. Price broke clearly below it on really quite strong volume. In fact, the volume was possibly excessive. And I noticed that at the time, and I've been following to see what's going on. Now, initially, it looked as though price was threatening to break down and continue lower. But instead, the next day, price closed higher, considerably higher actually. And this formed some sort of buy the offer situation. Now, whenever you see excessive volume, and not slightly above average volume, volumes like this or this would have been far more acceptable for this down bar. That would have more likely been just selling. But when volume is really strong like this, you really have to look to see whether there's a chance that there's actually been hidden buying in the bottom of the bar. And I think with the next bar being up, that was very likely. So I'm looking at the lows of the bar, and I'm looking at this juncture here. I'm following along to see what actually happens. And you can see that when these lows were tested again and price threatened to go down, both times in response, price moved higher. In this case here, there was an absorption bar and then another up bar, which together makes some form of buy the offer situation. And then price came down over 2 days this week. And then on Friday, price popped up in response. This is all suggesting that there's buying going on in this zone down here. It's perhaps some sort of re-accumulation zone. That's yet to be confirmed, but the situation is certainly possible. So I watch these levels where price breaks down like this. If you mark those levels, if and when price gets back above those levels, all the weakness that's occurred down here has been left behind, and price is then well positioned to continue higher, or perhaps 50% of the time, price will retest the breakout, and then if found to be strong, it will continue higher. So I like to mark these levels. There was a minor one previously here, and price did break below this level, although not substantially, perhaps if you suggested that level. But the volume wasn't particularly high. The volume was this one. So it certainly wasn't excessive volume. So I would look at that as previous lows. This is the breakdown bar, and this is the level to watch. And the highs of this level is 68.34. That's the level to watch. I expect that if trading conditions remain favourable, at some point, potentially soon, price will come up and issue a challenge to this level at 68.34. And if those trading conditions continue to remain favourable, price may attempt to break out, and then a markup phase could become established. Beware though, this is mostly speculative positions at the moment, perhaps not the majority, but a large proportion would be speculative positions. And should the US market or overseas markets generally begin to falter and push lower, then a good number of these positions will be dumped. There's no doubt about it. And price would likely continue lower. And a new breakdown would occur. So for safety first, the best time to buy would be on the breakout or on the test of a breakout. You can buy within this zone, no doubt, but just beware that if things don't go right, these positions in here will likely be dumped. And if you're a trader, you should likely dump along with them, because price will then come back to a lower level and look to develop support down there. So there is some risk in buying at these lows or buying within this zone. Buying the breakout would hold a lower risk, as that once the breakout becomes established and a new uptrend begins to form, the professionals will support their positions, at least to a reasonable extent, where possible. So I found this quite interesting. I've been watching it for a while. This is the zone. It's perhaps some form of re-accumulation zone. The lows have been tested twice recently, after we've seen pretty obvious buying initially, after price broke down on excessive volume. And since then, there's been signs of accumulation going on through here. So it's worth watching and pay attention. We'll see what develops. Thanks for your time. See ya.